Imagine if a solar flare knocked out all electronics. What would our world look like if, in an instant, every electronic device ceased to function? No smartphones, no internet, no electricity powering our homes and cities. Today, we're delving into this fascinating and alarming scenario. We'll explore what solar flares are, analyze our deep dependence on electronics, assess the resilience of our infrastructure, and consider strategies for survival without modern technology. First, let's understand what a solar flare is. Solar flares are intense bursts of radiation emanating from the release of magnetic energy associated with sunspots on the sun's surface. They are the most powerful explosive events in our solar system. According to NASA, these flares occur when magnetic energy that has built up in the solar atmosphere is suddenly released. When a particularly strong solar flare happens, it can be accompanied by a coronal mass ejection, or CME, a massive expulsion of plasma and magnetic fields. When directed toward Earth, CMEs can interact with our planet's magnetic field, causing geomagnetic storms. These storms can induce electrical currents in our atmosphere and on the ground, potentially disrupting or damaging electronic systems. The Carrington Event of 1859 is the most significant geomagnetic storm on record. It caused telegraph systems across Europe and North America to fail, with some operators receiving electric shocks and telegraph pylons sparking and catching fire. In today's technology-dependent world, the effects of a similar event would be exponentially more severe. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, has warned that a large solar storm could cause extensive damage to modern infrastructure. Professor Mike Hapgood, a space weather specialist at the UK Rutherford Appleton Laboratory, has noted that our growing reliance on technology makes us more vulnerable to solar events. Now, let's analyze our dependence on electronics. From the moment we wake up to an alarm clock to the time we switch off the lights at night, electronics facilitate nearly every aspect of our daily lives. Communication, transportation, healthcare, finance, and even food production are all intricately linked to electronic systems. Smartphones, computers, and the internet have become essential tools for work, education, and social interaction. Imagine waking up to find your smartphone dead, not just out of battery, but completely non-functional. There's no electricity to power your home. Refrigerators stop running, leading to food spoilage. Water treatment plants cease operations, affecting the availability of clean water. Gasoline pumps at stations don't work, grounding vehicles that rely on fuel. Hospitals depend on electronic equipment for diagnostics, life support, and patient records. Without functioning electronics, medical care would be severely compromised. Supply chains that deliver food and essential goods would be disrupted due to the failure of logistics systems. Financial transactions would halt as electronic banking systems collapse, and access to cash would become limited. Our society's reliance on electronics isn't just about convenience, it's about the fundamental operations that keep everything running smoothly. The loss of electronics would have cascading effects across all sectors, potentially leading to a critical situation within days. So how resilient is our infrastructure to such an event? Unfortunately, our current infrastructure is highly vulnerable. The electrical grid, which powers everything else, is particularly at risk. Geomagnetically induced currents from a strong solar flare can overload transformers and substations, leading to widespread power outages. Replacing damaged transformers is a lengthy and costly process, as they are complex components not readily available in large quantities. Satellites are also at risk. A powerful solar flare could damage or destroy satellites essential for communication, navigation, and weather forecasting. The loss of GPS would impact aviation, maritime operations, and even everyday activities like using maps on our phones. In 1989, a solar storm caused a 9-hour blackout in Quebec, Canada, affecting millions of people. The incident demonstrated how even a moderate geomagnetic event could have significant consequences. The U.S. Federal Energy Regulatory Commission has acknowledged that a severe solar storm could lead to prolonged outages and has emphasized the need for preparedness. Similarly, the UK's national grid has invested in monitoring and mitigation strategies, but recognizes that a massive solar event could still pose serious challenges. Given this potential for widespread disruption, what strategies could we employ to survive and adapt without modern technology? Preparation is key. Governments and organizations can invest in hardening the electrical grid by installing devices that protect against geomagnetically induced currents. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security emphasizes improving the resilience of critical infrastructure to electromagnetic threats, including solar flares. Diversifying energy sources can enhance resilience. Microgrids and decentralized power systems using renewable energy, like solar and wind, can provide localized power independent of the main grid. Incorporating analog systems as backups for critical services can allow essential operations to continue even if electronic systems fail. For example, water treatment facilities could have manual controls to manage basic functions. On an individual level, communities can prepare by learning basic survival skills. This includes first aid, food preservation techniques, and alternative methods of communication like amateur radio. Stockpiling non-perishable food, water, and essential supplies can provide a buffer during the initial period of disruption. Building strong community networks is vital. In the absence of electronic communication, face-to-face interactions and local coordination become essential. Communities that are cohesive and organized are better equipped to share resources, distribute tasks, and support one another during crises. Education about the risks and potential impacts of solar flares can raise awareness and encourage proactive measures. Schools and public programs can teach about space weather and its effects, fostering a culture of preparedness. The UK's Met Office has established a Space Weather Operations Centre to monitor solar activity and provide alerts. Embracing low-tech solutions can also play a significant role. Using bicycles for transportation, hand tools for agriculture, and printed books for information don't rely on electronics and can sustain basic functions until systems are restored. Encouraging the use of such alternatives can reduce the shock of suddenly losing electronic conveniences. International cooperation is crucial. Sharing knowledge, resources, and strategies can help mitigate the global impact. Collaborative efforts in space weather forecasting can provide early warnings, allowing for protective measures to be taken before a solar flare reaches Earth. Agencies like NASA, ESA, and NOAA work together to monitor solar activity. Investing in research and development of protective technologies can reduce vulnerability. Advancements in materials science can create more resilient electronic components. Developing systems that can quickly recover after exposure to solar radiation is essential. For example, designing satellites with better shielding and creating power grids that can be safely shut down temporarily during a solar storm. Psychological preparedness is also important. The sudden loss of electronic conveniences can be disorienting and stressful. Mental resilience and adaptability can help individuals cope with drastic lifestyle changes. Community support networks and mental health resources can aid in this adjustment. In the long term, re-evaluating our dependence on electronics might lead to more sustainable and resilient societal structures. Balancing technological advancement with robustness can create systems less susceptible to catastrophic failure. This could involve designing infrastructure with redundancies and fail-safes, and promoting lifestyles that are less reliant on constant connectivity. As we reflect on this scenario, we're reminded of the importance of preparedness, community, and adaptability. While the prospect of losing all electronics is daunting, it also highlights human ingenuity and our capacity to overcome challenges. Now, we'd like to hear from you. First, how do you think your daily life would change if a solar flare knocked out all electronics? What aspects would be the most challenging for you to adapt to? Second, what measures do you believe governments and communities should prioritize to prepare for such an event? Are there steps you think should be taken immediately? Lastly, do you feel that we rely too heavily on electronics? And should we incorporate more low-tech solutions into our lives as a precaution? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this exploration into the potential impact of a solar flare knocking out all electronics thought-provoking, be sure to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. Don't miss out on our next episode, where we'll continue to delve into fascinating what-if scenarios. Thank you for joining us, and until next time, keep wondering, imagine if...